The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, I asked the Premier if he's really determined to be the man who ends the one level of democracy we have in our province where women are proportionately represented, our local school boards. And the Premier spoke about his opinions, he spoke about his record, he spoke about his commitments, he spoke about everything except his answer to this question. There are 57 women in Nova Scotia who have stepped forward as leaders in their communities and are doing important work in their school boards. They deserve an answer to this question. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Premier, is the Premier really so committed to ramming through these Glaze report recommendations that he's willing to undermine so much of the important work in gender equality of recent years by telling these 57 women their voices are no longer needed?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank not only those 57 women, but all school board members across the province who continue to work on behalf of their communities in a system, Mr. Speaker, that hasn't worked for students. Well, we're saying very much the administrative structure has to change. But I want to reassure those women and their daughters that this government takes gender equity and equality seriously. It's why we ignored the dismal performance of the NDP when they were in power when it came to the judiciary. We have gender equality today on the provincial court family bench, Mr. Speaker. I want to tell those women and their daughters in this province, Mr. Speaker, we need more of their voices in this chamber. I want another Premier in the future to be able to appoint more women to the Executive Council. But I want to remind the honourable member, this Premier has appointed more women to the Executive Council than any other Premier in the history of our province, and I've had more women elected under my leadership than any other Premier in this province. And we will continue to promote women not only in our party, Mr. Speaker, but in the provincial bureaucracy, Mr. Speaker, and at every corner that is under our control.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Mr. Speaker, I have not asked about the Premier's record or his commitments or his opinion. I have asked about his actions on these 57 women. And I want to also refer to the fact that the Nova Scotia School Boards Association calls this government's elimination of elected African-Nova Scotian school board members an outrage. Now, yesterday I asked about this outrage with the Premier, and he answered again about a range of his opinions, a range of the things that he's proud of, the range of things he wishes to communicate to various mothers and sisters and daughters. But I'm not asking about what he wishes to say to mothers, sisters, daughters, and his commitments and his records of all these matters. I'm asking simply about the 7 African Nova Scotians he's about to disenfranchise. Here's the question. What does the Premier say to those who are outraged that he's telling Joanne Reddick, Glenda Talbot-Richards, Lauren Green, Vernon Sims, Peter Cromwell, Archie Beals and Reverend Michael Alden Fells that their work as elected decision-makers is no longer needed by the government of Nova Scotia?
The Honourable Premier.
Speaker, I want to thank all of them for the tremendous work. I know Peter Cromwell very well as a personal friend. His mother, Edith, was a tremendous icon in our province, one of the first Order of Nova Scotia recipients, Mr. Speaker. They understand, quite frankly, the issues in this province around systemic racism and the challenge in the education system. And I thank them tremendously for the work that they've done on behalf of all Nova Scotians, Mr. Speaker, not just the African Nova Scotian community.
Order, please. The Honourable Premier has the floor.
Let me reassure that member and those 7 members, their voice will be represented not only at the Provincial Advisory Council, but they'll be represented in the school community.
The Honourable Premier has the floor.
I don't know, should I start over again, Mr. Speaker? The fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, I know some of those people. They're family friends of mine. I knew his mother, Mr. Speaker. She was a tremendous icon in this province. She was one of the first Order of Nova Scotia recipients. They've done tremendous work when it comes to ensuring that African Nova Scotia's voices are heard in the education system. And I want to tell you their voices will continue to be heard, Mr. Speaker. Instead of being the rhetoric from the sidelines, Mr. Speaker, we're in the arena making a difference on behalf of all Nova Scotians.